In this blender, we're going to look at how we can collect coins to add to points, and then once we collected enough coins, either the game restarts or it can be sent to another scene. What you learn here, you can also apply, for example, maybe to bullets if you want to, instead of a game where you collect coins where you shoot enough enemies and then you win. But in this case, I'm going to show you is with coins. So you see a finished example here. I got my character, 2 coins, and you'll notice a blank object. All I have to do with my character is I also make it move forward, and I have to add a property. I have to give him a name. Here is colliding a coin, collides with Bob, okay, and it gets ended, and also sends a subject called coin exclamation mark to our empty object. And then in our empty object, what happens is I'm going to receive the message coin, okay, and it's going to add to my counter of a value of 1. So add counter 1. Now my counter is another game property. It's an integer, so it can only be a full number. It starts at 0. So every time it hits a coin, it adds 1. Okay, and then once my counter, basically, okay, my property counter is equal to 2, I restart the scene. So I press P just to show you, and I move forward. 1, nothing happens. Second coin, it restarts. Okay, so either you can figure out from there, or I'll go step by step right now. So here we go, restarting it. So I'm just going to go with, oh, come on. So new. So I'm going to move my guy up a little bit and to the right. I'm going to make sure that I split this up in half. Bring up my logic editor. I know I want to give it a property, but before I do that, I want to change the physics type here. Oh, Blender game, don't forget Blender game, to character. So he's a character now. All right, so in my character, I'm going to give it a name of Bob. You can name it whatever you want, but the spelling matters and spacing matters. And all I want Bob to do is to move forward. So before I make him move forward, I'm going to deselect Shift A, add a plane, scale to 30, so that Bob here doesn't fall below. So now I'm going to add a quick sensor, just a quick keyboard sensor, my W key, for example. In this case, I'm going to press N to close that off here. And in this case, I just want it to move forward, so it's going to be a motion, a character motion along my y-axis. Don't forget to change this to local just to make sure that L is highlighted. So point 2, connect it together, and just to make sure it works, if I press W, it moves forward. Beautiful. All right. Next step is to deselect and add my coins. So Shift A. In this case, I'm going to add, let's say, cylinder. I'm going to move this up. I'm going to scale it along the Z axis. I hope to forget. So S to scale, Z along the, and make it shorter. And I'm also going to go to my side view here. And I'm going to press 5 so it's ortho. I'm going to rotate it 90 so it's facing my cube. I'm going to the top view to make sure it's aligned with my cube. Yes, it is. Beautiful. All right, so what do I have to do to the coin? First step, I want to make sure is I click off on ghosts. This will make sure that no matter where my coin is or facing, the cube is going to be able to, instead of the collision box, you can just click on ghosts and it should work. Okay, so what I want the coin to do is to disappear when it gets hit with Bob. Remember, this guy is called Bob. So I'm going to add a sensor, collision. Okay, my property, it's going to hit Bob. And when it hits Bob, I want it to end the object. So let me connect this together here. Okay, and let me give a color to my coin here just to make it actually look like a coin. I'm just going to reduce the intensity so it looks like this. So if I press P and I press W, it disappears. Beautiful. All right, so now what we want is to send a message that the coin, okay, is adding 1. So to do that, I'm going to deselect. I'm just going to, doesn't matter where you put this, you just put another empty object. You've done this before. Okay, so this empty object, I'm just going to call it counter. And it's going to be an integer. Okay, so counter. And now what happens is it's going to receive a message when this is taken off. So I can press N to deselect that. So I'm going to go back to here. And what I'm going to do is go to and send a message. So my sensor is going to be, sorry, not sensor, actuator, because when it dies, right, when it's colliding with Bob, I also want to send a message. So I'm going to send a message, and it's going to send it to our empty guy, right, our empty guy. It's going to be, for example, coin, exclamation mark. You can name it whatever you want as long as you're very consistent. All right, and I'm just going to combine these two together. So when my collision happens, it dies, and it sends a subject to my empty object. So with my empty object, what I want to do is I want to receive the message. So when the sensor in this case is a message, it wants to receive the coin message with exclamation mark. Okay, so when it receives it, it's going to add, this is a new one, a property. Okay, and so it's going to add, okay, the property counter of 1. So let me slow down for a second to make sure that all makes sense. When I receive the message that the coin is dead, okay, we know it's dead because it sends the coin. Remember, the coin will send the message coin to our empty. It will add to our counter value, which remember we had a counter value here. It will add to 1. Now, obviously, you can do it with minus or whatever you want to, depending on what kind of a game is. But for now, we just want to add it. Okay, so now if I play the game, we're not going to see anything happen. Okay, it's just going to go, but literally you know that right now the empty object has a value of 1. So with a value of 1, once the value is 1, we want something to happen. So in this case, with my scene, I want to restart my scene. Okay, so when it receives the message, okay, it's going to add 1 and restart the scene. So let's see if this works or not. And there we go. So it kills it off, and it's so fast you can't even see the coin die. Okay? Well, let's add a little bit more excitement to it. So let's say there was 2 coins. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to select my coin, Shift D, press G along the Y-axis so we know it's straight. Okay? So if I play it right now, it's still going to happen on the first coin. And that's not what we want. Great, but it's just not what we want. So we're going to get rid of the scene here. Okay, what we want to do is check for our properties. So if my property of counter, remember that counts how many coins, is equal to 2, because remember every coin is worth 1, then I want to restart the scene. So I'm going to go to scene, restart, and now what happens if I press P? 1, nothing happens. Second one, it's restarted. So if I don't want to restart the game, obviously with you guys, you probably want to go to like you lose or you win. So you would, instead of go to restart, you would add, right, a new scene. And in this case, you would send it to the next scene. All right, repeat this and then move on to 20% time. Good luck.